Hello, everyone. Nice one, Joel. And welcome to Glorious
Ganun.
Reacts. Before we begin, I would like to introduce ourselves. I am your friend from Down Under, Arnold, and I am joined by the thriller from Manila, Joel. Say hi, Joel.
Blam.
And our very own Singapore Sling, Blam Blam. Say hi, Paul. Nice. In this episode, we once again join the Watcher as he looks through the multiverse at key events throughout the MCU that we've gotten very familiar with, but with a significant difference, giving us variant stories that show us a possible answer to the titular question, what if? Before we continue, I would like to inform our dear audience that this is not a spoiler-free show and that we will be talking directly about events that have occurred in today's episode, most of which will be revealing key story elements. If you have not watched the latest episode or any episodes of What If, wow, and would like to remain unspoiled, ka-chow. Plus, please stop here and come back once you've watched the show. Remember that? Without further ado, let's go right into it. All right, this is Paul's favorite episode, quote unquote. So he will be.
No, I was looking forward
Not
to
most
the
favorite,
episode.
most anticipated.
Anticipated. Yes, that's
So
right.
he will be
That's right.
doing our recap for.
I'll do my best to recap the show.
Take it away, Paul.
So Bruce Banner falls to Earth via Bifrost and lands.
Wow.
Clearly, the expectation has been met.
Bruce Banner falls to Earth via the Bifrost and lands into the Sanctum Sanctorum. So it's follows the end of or the start of Infinity
The start
War.
of
Infinity War.
Yes.
War. Mo and Cull Obsidian land on Earth to announce the arrival of Thanos. A portal opens behind them and Iron Man, Wong, and Doctor Strange battle the invaders. After the dust settles, Iron Man turns to face Bruce and reveals that he is a zombie.
Woo!
Cull Obsidian and Mo are reanimated and the 5 zombies try to go after Banner. But he is saved by Hope, Peter, a swarm of ants, and a cloak of levitation.
Amazing.
A flashback reveals that the zombie infection originated from the quantum realm and was brought to this universe, by Hank Pym after he attempted to rescue his wife. Back at their hideout, the survivors receive a signal. So, flashback over, back at the hideout, the survivors receive a signal from a survivor who claims that they have found a cure to the zombie infection. They pursue the lead. They have to go to Jersey. At the train station, the group split up. One group tries to reactivate the train car, and another tries to guard the perimeter. While this is all happening, both guard groups are attacked by Hawkeye and Falcon. They escape. The group escapes the zombies at the train station, but lose Happy Hogan. So his
That was actually
his blamming action didn't work. On the way to the camp, Captain America attacks the train. Zombie Cap attacks the train, turning Sharon. Bucky kills Cap, and Hope gets covered in Sharon. Hope is wounded in the encounter. The train runs out of fuel, and Hope sacrifices herself and carries the rest of the team to the camp. At the camp, they are greeted by Vision, who has been using the Mind Stone to keep the zombies from attacking the camp. So he's using the Mind Stone, a certain frequency of the Mind Stone to keep the zombies at bay. That's why even though there was a gap between the walls of the camp, they were not entering. Vision has been experimenting using the Mind Stone and looking for a way to reverse the zombification. They plan on going to Wakanda so that they can use the Mind Stone to broadcast the signal to cure the whole world. Bucky leaves the group to look for transportation, but finds zombie Wanda and an amputated T'Challa. Vision has been taking care of zombie Wanda by luring people to the base to feed her. Wanda awakens and a battle ensues. Vision gives the Mind Stone to Banner as a form of atonement, who in turn gives it to Peter telling him to avenge them, while he attempts to buy them some time to escape. Peter, T'Challa, and Scott Lang, if anyone's
Forgotten.
if anyone's forgotten, Scott Lang escape and head to Wakanda, not knowing that waiting for them is zombie Thanos, who already has 5 of the Infinity Stones.
All right.
Oh my god, this
This is-
episode.
This episode is a roller coaster ride. I gosh, goodness. I mean, as far as zombie apocalypse movies go,
It's the worst possible. This
this-
is darkest.
definitely because
Timeline.
obviously, superpowered people are involved. But I mean, in
Yeah.
terms of the roller coaster ride, this is like rivaling Zombieland. Let us. Okay, so since this is Paul's most anticipated episode, we will have him for last. So I'll start off with our likes, and then we'll have Joel and then Paul last. Yay! Zombie apocalypse is finally here. We've been talking about how what if episodes have been focusing on different genres, subgenres, tropes, and now we've gotten our zombie apocalypse. We've talked about at length, or at the very least, it's been highlighted ever since the trailers for What If came out, that there will be Marvel Zombies. There will be a Marvel Zombies episode, and here we are. I've not, again, caveat, I have not read any Marvel What If comics. But this is the one that I'm most familiar with. I guess it's the most iconic in the terms of when you're saying what if everybody turned into a zombie. So I was very, very intrigued to see what caused it, and two, how they resolve it in the 30 minutes. And I'm pleasantly surprised to find that most of the tropes made it in. So you got the creepy suspense music, right? Just in the beginning, as that trailer, as the Watcher's voice trails off. We already got that, crescendo violin in the beginning. It's like, all right, yes, zombies, perfect. The copious amounts of undead, the massive amounts of exploding gore, and then obviously the hope gleaming through hopelessness, and then turning into hopelessness again. Right? It's all there. Scott's jokes are still there, which is great. I think this is the episode with the most MCU characters so far, right? It's got a lot. We've talked about how so far it seems like Disney is allowing so much death to happen in the Marvel universe, and this one obviously takes the cake. I know in the previous episode,
But they're not dead. They're undead.
they are
They're undead. Yeah.
I guess you could qualify it that way.
Yeah.
I'm sure in the previous episode we did have a universe wiping event, but I guess that's more of a reality undoing rather than massive amounts of death. And so I really enjoyed this one, and I mentioned it was a roller coaster ride. It was the pacing, and then I'm sure we have a lot to say about the pacing for this one. The pacing kind of forced the story to move at breakneck speed,
Yeah.
and that meant that there was a lot of chases. There was a lot of these zombies tapping on the windows and all that. A few call outs. David Dashalma. I really need to learn how to enunciate his last name. But I was just so happy he was there.
He was great here.
I was just so happy. I was just so happy.
Oh my
he was
God.
there. I know he gets to use all his famous lines, and obviously because of Suicide Squad, he's in my headcanon, he's been elevated to a level that is much more. That's a better place for him, right? Compared to when we watched Ant-Man the first time.
Right.
So my appreciation of him is so much more. And weirdly enough, it's the imagery is just stuck in my head. That part of the episode wherein zombie Janet and zombie Hank attack Scott, and you have that hand
Yeah.
doing the Titanic thing. I was like, what a weird way of presenting that. But I mean, okay, cool. I laughed. I don't know if it was appropriate. Obviously, somebody was getting killed, but no, I laughed. I laughed at that one.
He would usually that would usually be that handprint would have come with blood. But the thing is, it didn't.
It did.
It
No,
didn't.
no,
It was just a hand.
It was just a hand on a foggy
coming
mirror.
through steam.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like Titanic. It's like, wow, different kind of passion going on.
Yeah.
Joel, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So just like last week, mine isn't necessarily a like and dislike list. So it's a pros and cons. Pros. While I don't like the person anymore, I like the fact that they alluded to his his production company, especially at the start of Spidey's tutorial. If you remember that zombie going around, that was reminiscent of Joss Whedon's production company, Mutant Enemy. At the end of every Buffy episode, it will always come out. Arr, arr.
Yes.
Right? And that was one of the funnest prod company screens that I would always see, and it was cute to see that. I guess they were also supposedly maybe alluding to the fact that he was the guy who started the whole Avengers thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it also evoked the Zombieland references because of the rules and everything. Zombieland was really the first movie to do that.
The only one.
It's the only one, yeah.
Yeah.
Double
It
tap.
gave you rules of what
Cardio.
you're supposed to do.
You still remember.
Although their
it.
rules are different.
Limber up.
Right, their rules are different. Yeah, because it's a different world. It's got zombie superhumans. So I suppose that you're gonna make different rules.
Yeah.
Next, another pro of the episode is Spider-Man wearing the cape. With his movie coming soon, it's sort of like, I don't know if it's foreshadowing.
It's a cute foreshadowing.
Transferal of power somehow? Is he going to become the Spidey Supreme sometime during the?
Will there be a
what
what if episode that actually focus on that? We kind of saw that in the poster, so I'm assuming.
I actually thought there
Maybe.
was, but it may be. It's just
it may
this.
have been this one.
Yeah, it may have been this clip.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. They just had that and they thought that, this would be a cool thing to put in the trailers.
Just to irritate.
More red
throw them.
herrings.
Just to make exactly more red herrings.
Let's throw them off.
Yeah.
Alright? Spidey Supreme. There.
Thought
It
you're gonna
sounds
get
like a
that.
pizza. So yeah, and by far, so far, this is my most favorite episode because of everything that happened. I do still have some cons about it, but all in all, the story, the characters that are in it, the way that they told the story, it was pretty good. So that's it. My pro list is pretty short. So let's go to the guy who
let's go with the most.
I don't have a long list. I like this episode because it has the most frames that are not based off the original or sorry, based off of something. So it's like a lot of the I guess scenes and what's happening around, they're all original, right? And I guess that's also a kind of a con, but we'll get to that later. So first, it's all original frames, so we get to see different characters interact, and I think we've never seen these characters interact previously.
No.
So it was good. I like that. The deaths are okay. I love the explosion, the Sharon exploding. I mean, Hope smashing out of Sharon, and
which was how Ant-Man should have done Thanos.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
true.
We've already they've done this twice now.
But there's
first
still
with
hope
Hulk,
that
and then
he can
now
do it with zombie Thanos, right? Because he's still ahead, so you just clip on like a.
Can we just highlight the fact that they managed to add head only Scott Lang into the episode somehow?
Yeah.
I mean,
And then they're heading to Wakanda, so you're quite kind of sure that there's gonna be like a
android
vibranium body waiting there for him.
exactly.
Okay, so I have to that part I have to rewatch. I wasn't sure if Thanos was inside Wakanda or outside waiting.
He's
I think he was
inside.
outside.
No, he,
He was
was
outside,
inside.
okay.
They were banging on
Oh,
the
okay.
shields of Wakanda.
I thought they were inside because of the framing of what's behind him.
Behind Thanos,
Behind
right?
him was the city,
buildings.
and
Yeah.
you don't see the
Oh.
hexagonal shape of the
The
shield.
shield, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have to rewatch that part. I wasn't sure. So yeah. I like the fact that there's a guide to surviving the zombie apocalypse, just like what Joel said. Because I love Zombieland, and that should be included in every zombie show. I
Remind
remember
me.
there's another movie that had that, like
yeah, which
a
one
Boy
is-
Scout's Guide to Surviving the Zombie Apocalypse. A Scout's Guide. I think there's a movie called The Scout's Guide to Surviving the Zombie Apocalypse. But it wasn't as
Which is
fun.
probably what Zombieland ripped.
No, I don't. I think they're two different movies, but Zombieland was far superior than the other one. And I love the fact that they had most of the original actors to voice the characters here, except that I wanted Tom Holland's voice for Spider-Man.
Let's
It's
hold
very,
that off for cons because I'm gonna complain about that.
because it's very specific. I mean, he has a very specific voice, and it just doesn't feel right when you're looking at Spider-Man and you're hearing a different voice. It's just weird.
Speaking of, this is gonna go into a little bit of a con. But when I heard Sharon talking, I didn't
You recognize her?
notice that it was Emily Van Camp.
No, I did.
The
I-
voice is really different.
That's the thing when you go doing in animation, because of how normally when they do the voice after they're actually watching the animation on
Yeah.
screen, and then they're trying to do the voice to try to match it up, and sometimes they're not not a lot of people are as versatile or as good at as let's say Benedict Cumberbatch was really excellent in lending his voice.
Yeah,
And I guess
because he's theater trained.
and surprisingly Benedict Wong is like you cannot mistake his voice somehow.
Yeah,
It's
because
really
he's not got such an unmistakable voice.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd say the same thing for Tom Holland
Yeah.
as well. So precisely why we noticed it so quickly that it wasn't.
Yeah. But no. Let me go back and on a pro or like I do like the fact that the whole train thing was sort of like Train to Busan. And
Right.
then, so there's that trope, and then the whole they're heading somewhere, but they don't know that something bad's gonna happen there.
Right.
That is so Night of the Living Dead or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
Because the next one was
Land of the
Living
Dead.
Dead, right?
Land of the Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it was like that. So yeah, going back to Arnold's point about these zombie apocalypse tropes, they really jam packed this
Yeah.
whole episode with all of
Jesus,
those.
I think
Many say cool.
they've just filled it up with all of them.
Yeah.
The breaking into, like, never splitting up,
Yes,
never
Yeah.
splitting up the group. Yeah.
and you have Spider-Man's as a Spider-Man's knowledge of pop
Of
culture
movies.
of movies brought into this episode to help you remind that this is your Spider-Man is us. You're like, hey, haven't you watched any zombie apocalypse movies? Never do these. That's why it's perfect that he was the one who came up with the video. Do you remind me if he did this something similar in another Spider-Man in the previous Spider-Man movies? No,
He did it to defeat the Maw. He told Tony Stark if he watched Alien.
No. Sorry, no. I meant the video. Did he do that kind of like YouTube video-ish something in a different movie?
I
No,
don't
he did
think
not.
so.
Okay.
No.
I don't
You
think
need
so.
to what if? Cool.
That's it. You can move to dislikes.
All right. So,
This is probably longer.
speaking of Tom Holland, not sorry. Speaking of Spider-Man, so my very first obvious, and I think it's common across all three of us. I know Joel didn't call it out specifically.
Yeah.
But being the main guy, sort of the main guy in this episode, it's kind of unfortunate that they could not somehow get Tom Holland to voice Spider-Man. the I don't know. This just it's just the type of character that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is. Is very much associated to his voice because of how there's very little of his face that you could see. Sure, you can see the adjusting eyes to impart emotion, but really it was his voice that lent to the Spider-Man character, and we don't see that in this version. It's quite close. It's pretty. You have his quips, his comebacks, and all that, but it just didn't feel right. I was about to complain about the fact that Chris Evans wasn't Captain America, but really, who
There were no
cares?
speaking
He
lines.
just
He did have
growls.
a couple of speaking lines.
Yeah.
In the
Oh yeah,
video.
yeah. When he
Oh, ow! It was Ant-Man who bit him, right?
yeah, it was Ant-Man.
Yeesh. It's like one of the worst things to have a zombie Ant-Man, right?
This is the second time like Hank Pym is the bad guy.
Well, to
Yeah.
be fair, he wasn't the bad guy. He was doing,
Oh, he's not the bad guy, but he's the
that's
cause
right.
of
He's the
everything.
cause. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
that's actually my number one con. God, oh, yeah.
And then the pacing, going back to the pacing. So the roller coaster ride was great, was fantastic. They did try to jam pack as much of the tropes that we are familiar with when it comes to zombie apocalypses, and this one has reduced the impact of anything that's scary. In this
that's true.
episode, there's a lot of suspenseful music, but they really had to pick up the pace. It was more funny, it was more tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, the jump scare thing.
The jump
Oh my
scare
God, I really,
is
that jump scared you.
exactly
Yeah,
like, here,
yeah.
we had to add that in. It was there, they tried to put it, but obviously they could not. The exposition's a lot shorter. There was so much things that they had to say. They had to move from place to place.
Yeah.
There was a lot more. It was more just saying that, hey, we're making fun of the zombie apocalypse tropes, and that's what you see. And I did not really care much for the lack of scariness. The mere fact that Spider-Man is in this episode and Scott Lang, the two, jokesters of the most. Granted that Scott's jokes are for a particular audience, and I really enjoyed them actually.
Yeah, well, you guys, and well, because I'm of that age, yeah.
Exactly. So, it's really early on. You can really see that they were not gonna be going down the route of Night of the Living Dead and more Shaun of
Shaun
the
the
Dead.
Shaun of the
Dead,
Dead.
right? So, now I would not like to put the blame purely on Hank Pym. Hope was the one. She kind of like took in the blame by saying that I was the one forcing and thing
She wanted to look for her mom.
for her mom and all that. But what would she know? And I'm sure Joel has a different take on why it's Hank Pym's fault. So let's go, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hank Pym. I mean, even in Ant-Man, it was him who really wanted to look for Janet, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I just, it was too much of a scapegoat for me, like a cop off for me. That okay, so we need a zombie virus to get into the MCU. Who do we use?
An unexplainable source. Yeah, the quantum realm. Perfect.
Somewhere where we don't need to explain it yet. Oh, let's use the quantum realm. And we don't even see the nexus of it. What caused that thing? I mean, does it mean that in Quantum Mania, I hope they probably are going to tackle it somehow.
The quantum
Unless
virus
it never
itself.
happened or at least allude to something like it, like being around. Right, that would be cool if they actually allude to it in Quantumania, like, oh, they go into the quantum realm, oh, don't touch that because that can turn you into a zombie.
Exactly. That would be great.
Right, that would be cute.
The zombie plant.
Yeah, so yeah, I they already did it was for me it was masterfully done in the episode where Pym killed off the Avengers. But here it was okay. You could have done it some other way. Like the radioactive spider that bit Spider-Man was actually so slowly turning him into a zombie. Something, I don't know, something else. I mean, kawawa. I mean, Hank Pym's
Character has just been crucified.
Becoming a punching bag. Yeah, it's too bad for him.
Isn't there an Ultron episode also?
Yes.
Yeah, and then
yes, there
that's
is an
Hank
Ultron
Pym.
episode though.
Yeah.
So there, I mean, yeah, it's sad for me that it's Hank Pym again.
It's been Hank
Okay,
Pym
this is
all
becoming a regular
along.
con. Yeah, it's Hank Pym all along. And this is becoming a regular con for me. They're still not getting the likenesses of some of the actors, and I've noticed how it's different. Some of the actors' faces are now a little too wide. Like
Oh yes,
Sharon Carter's
Sebastian
face,
Stans also.
it's all wide.
Yeah.
It's like they flattened the faces. It all became wide. And then you've got Ruffalo, whose face is like smaller,
Yeah.
thinner.
Smaller. Yeah.
It's so weird how they decided to change up the look a little bit. Maybe that's their whole point. That this is a variant universe. This isn't the universe
When people are fatter.
Yeah.
No, but like Benedict Cumberbatch's the
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is really lanky. But I don't know if it's because he was a zombie or it's because he had a very tall and thin face.
Yeah.
Well, probably
Yeah,
because
I
he
mean,
was been zombified already.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
But then again, you can
to
also
see that way.
attribute it to like Disneyfied animation,
Yeah,
Disneyfied
that's right. Exactly.
artwork, which is they were all Disneyfied. It's just sad that they made some of their faces a little wide. I hope that it wasn't on purpose, or maybe I'm hoping that it was. Yeah, so that they have some explanation somewhere down the road. And I mentioned this already. It was unclear what the Nexus event was. What decision led to Janet Van Dyne getting the virus? Yeah, and I do hope that they really explain it away somehow in Quantumania. That we get a little bit of Easter egg. There you go.
Yeah,
It goes
yeah.
back to and then
It'd be cute if they do
this is a plot hole that I saw that they could have made it. Yeah, it would have lessened the drama, but it would have made more sense. Instead of Hope increasing in size, thus hastening her turning into a zombie, why not just her increasing in size with a cape of levitation around her, so that the cape would also increase in size, and then they would put the cape all around everyone, and then they would just fly into the base.
Was the cape still there? The cape was still there, right?
Yeah.
The cape was still there. The cape died in the previous episode.
Yes, kind of got torn
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Well, she was
Right,
turning into
because-
a zombie. The drama had to happen.
They don't
Yeah.
even need. I mean, she doesn't even need to increase in size. She can use one of her discs
Yeah, just for this.
and chuck it on the cloak of
the
levitation.
cloak of levitation.
Yeah.
And there's no
becomes
time
big, and They
limit.
fly in a
There's
flying
no-
carpet.
There's no time
They take a
limit,
flying carpet.
right? To the size.
Yeah, you just have to use another disc to make it
Yeah.
normal size.
These are at least for the small for objects. Because I
Right.
can't remember things changing. Oh, okay. You're right.
Yeah.
I
Magic carpet ride onto
Yeah.
Campy
They
High.
could have done this from New York, right?
or just do
Yeah.
one by one. Bring over one person at a time.
Well.
But that would, I mean,
Take a
the
while.
zombies
The
would
zombies
probably
already
already
there.
start going into.
Oh,
And then
into
you've
the
also
change
got
card.
the clock on Hope. It's slowly becoming a zombie. So yeah, just make it into a big cloak of levitation. Float over all of those zombies.
There you
It's not like
go.
the zombies could jump.
You can
Yeah, and I find myself getting more interested. I wanted to learn how Thanos became a zombie, even more than. Although again, this is my most favorite episode of all of the episodes so far. My when they showed Thanos as a zombie, my thoughts immediately went, wait, so how did they overpower a demigod with 5 infinity stones?
Exactly. Yeah, no.
Right?
Right.
How
That's
would that happen? Maybe Ant-Man once again turned into a small thing,
and bit him.
Yeah, but that again, that's a cop out. It's a bit of a cop out. Yeah, so those are my cons. A little bit of a downer, but still, it's among all of the episodes. I guess it's because of the pacing also, because this was a really tight episode.
It did not matter. All they needed was hopelessness at the end.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And what's more hopeless than zombie apocalypse? Zombie Thanos
Zombie
with 5
Thanos,
infinity
exactly,
stones.
and they're bringing the Mind Stone to him.
Yeah.
Right?
it would have been funny if a zombie suddenly looked up and saw the Watcher.
No, they did not. So let us go to Paul because I thought that he had a complaint.
I don't have a
about
lot.
that.
Yeah. So
But he's not.
I
Amazing.
no, I don't have
Wow,
a
you
lot of
really liked
dislikes.
this episode.
Oh, wow.
I did not. I mean, I did. It was okay. It wasn't the episode I was expecting. So the only letdown was I expected to have some of the things that were in the comic book turn up here, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still fine with that. I mean, I'm even fine with all the loopholes that they left, like with all the things that Joel mentioned, which are fair. I didn't really care. Like, I didn't really mind if they didn't have an explanation to how Janet got the virus. But it was more of I wanted some of the concepts that were in the comic book, but they didn't show up. And that was a little bit of a downer, but that's not a big deal for me. This is by far still, I think, among the what ifs, one of the best episode among all the what ifs. Just because of from the perspective of it's not there isn't a lot of um repeated frames from the other properties, and I like that. It's like a lot of original things and new interactions. So my only dislike was, well, actually, this is not Tom
You
Holland
really
not voicing
like so many
Spider-Man.
qualifications.
Yeah, Tom Holland not voicing Spider-Man.
Yep,
It's not a
I've
big
heard it.
deal. But yeah, they could have, and I think this is more contract than anything. I think they would say, Sony would say, but that's one episode, that's one movie. Like,
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. That's actually
Yeah.
that's fair.
that's probably why it happened. It didn't
yeah.
happen.
That's fair.
Apart from that, I guess another one would be I would really love to see the end of that. Like, what would happen when they get to Wakanda?
Yeah.
But then they cut it short. It's like,
That's
could have
not
used another episode for this, like another zombie episode, but
But it's
maybe
an anthology.
maybe second season, maybe the second season.
We'll come back to this universe.
Yeah, we'll
whatever's
come back
left
to
of
that.
it.
Yeah.
And then, so when it comes to theories, I still keep going back to the potential of us establishing that arc. And I already mentioned about 2 episodes back, but I think that that it's no longer there, or it's not as important for whatever they're trying to establish. I think I've reduced my expectation to saying that at the end of the season we may have episode 8 telling us that, hey, this is the reason, the reason why we're having all of this what ifs, that's why I'm bringing you guys along, is because blah. And I think what Joel mentioned during that discussion was that maybe he's trying to explain away something he decided to do, an intervention that he actually did. And that's why he's showing us bits and pieces of these other universes to help us understand his decision. Well, one of the potential decisions I was hoping he would actually intervene is the zombie apocalypse. Maybe he'll find a way to actually cure the zombie apocalypse, because what if it spreads now that they have infected the Mad Titan? Then the universe is
Screwed.
it's screwed. The mere fact that he has 5 he doesn't even have to go.
And the soul gem is heading to him.
That's the mind gem.
The Mind Stone.
The mind stone.
Oh, the Mind Stone.
Yep. So he's got everything else. So the fact that the universe is now pretty much screwed because he can just snap and everybody can become a zombie. Great. So I'm still having difficulty trying to, now that this is not the episode. This is not the situation he's gonna be trying to explain away. I'm wondering what else would it be? So yeah, it starts to feel even more or less plausible that we are having a season-wide explanation of what's going on, how they are all related. We are still yet to see any indication that Loki's been poking his head around, or that Kang has been poking himself around. We did get a glimpse of talking Uatu, but he is a lot less involved. We do get to see his silhouette watch the Quinjet fly across the sky. That's pretty much it. There wasn't anything else. He's a lot less involved in this episode compared to, let's say, the one with Supreme, Strange Supreme. So yeah, my expectation is kind of dwindling in terms of us seeing an overarching explanation.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, that's you.
yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, big. I do. Well, it's sort of. It was already in the trailer that there's supposed to be a Guardians of the Multiverse type of thing happening, like with what do they call this Thor? Party Thor, Star-Lord T'Challa, who do you call this? Gamora with the Thanos blade.
With the Thanos, with the Thanos
Yeah,
armor.
there was
blade.
that, right? The whole thing with them doing the similar
Post
pose as the
Avengers one
original
movie,
6,
Yeah.
right? So we do know that that's in the offing.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that this zombie Thanos is not the big bad that they're gonna go against, right? Because you already repeated Hank Pym as yet again the reason for why the zombie apocalypse happened,
Yeah.
or why something bad happened in MCU universe in an MC universe. Now you're going to use Thanos again as the big bad. How much of lazy writing is that? I hope it's not.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, but my cooler theory, which I already mentioned a while ago, is that we all know that a vibranium body is waiting for Hank Pym in Wakanda.
Scott Lang.
Scott Lang.
I think it's Scott Lang. Vibranium body is waiting for him, and he's gonna be so much better than the Winter Soldier.
Oh, well, yeah, but the problem is Scott Lang isn't exactly a trained killer. So he'd
True.
probably be this. He'll probably be weirdly like, what am I gonna use with his body for, right? He's gonna do some mean. What do you call this? Guitar Hero? No, not Guitar Hero. What was the game with the drums?
So no big reach for me here. Yeah, but I just hope that it's an expectation. I do hope that they don't use
They use
Thanos as a
zombie
big bad.
Thanos.
So no recycling of the big bads from previous story arcs.
These guys are in different universes. Come on, guys. Paul, you did not write.
I don't have I am of one mind with Arnold in that I don't think, or at least the concept of having a season-wide arc is drifting farther and farther away. And I don't really mind. They can do that for the season 2 and that will be okay for me. But I do want a main point at the end of the season of
Still
why
something to
Watu
tie everything
is actually
together.
telling us showing us all of these different universes. Because I don't know. It just seems like he wants to make a point, and he just needs to reach to that point to show us why.
It's a lot of front loading.
Yeah. Because it's weird that he's showing us all of these worlds, and they're all like bleak and dark, and none of them have been hopeful at all.
None of them have been actually happy. No, the first one.
Oh,
was.
wait, yeah,
They got Captain
T'Challa,
Carter.
Star-Lord T'Challa. Oh, no, that one is what Peter got eaten by Ego, right?
Well, yeah, with potential.
Yeah,
The first one,
but the main character didn't really.
yeah, that's true. So, but then it becomes bleaker and bleaker. and
Yes,
bleaker.
We're going down
So
the dark
yeah.
path. They're like, all right, that's it.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I mean, as far as theories go, I think mine is I've given up on the fact on a season-wide arc, but I still want an explanation at the end.
Yeah.
So even if just it's as simple as he wants to show us this so that because he wants us
that
to
we will
hope for the
appreciate
best.
the
The current
MCU
situation.
so much better.
Stop whining, fans. Things are
And that should
things
be good
could be
for
much
All
worse.
you fanboys.
me. Yeah, but that's it for me. I don't have like a big reach, especially since I've already seen the episode I've been anticipating.
I
You're
mean,
not anticipating Party Thor?
I actually don't know from which. Did you see any previews for that one? I didn't
No,
see
no,
it.
no previews, just
Oh, okay.
part of the trailer.
it's just one.
Yeah.
It's what they called it.
Yeah.
Party Thor.
That's the episodes on their own. I mean, not having an arc. I think we've established this. It's not a problem because the
No.
episodes on their own are fun, anyways. So it's actually much easier, and it will. It's actually much. We will forgive them for not having an arc,
Yeah.
a season-wide arc, compared to them forcing
Okay.
one that is like half-assed, right? If we're complaining for the fact that they're recycling bad guys, imagine if we actually get a overarching story and it was like kind of
And it's still
lame.
Thanos.
It's still Thanos. So yeah, I think they're actually made they did the right choice. We do have a few side notes. Mine is really just happy going on.
that was so cute.
He's got
And you
one
know
hand.
that was really John Favreau.
It
doing
is
that.
John Favreau, and he's only got
Blam.
one hand. He only has the watch, so he only has one hand with the pulsar repulsor blast, and he just went running into it, blam blam blam.
Yeah.
And he didn't even know that he was saying it.
See.
Even in
Because
his
Sharon was-
even in his undeath, he just goes blam.
I really like the Bucky getting the shield.
Oh yeah,
It was pretty cool. He was pretty sharp with the shield.
because he puts this is the only time he actually puts it in his back.
Yeah, and it.
Yeah.
So is it magnetic?
I was about
Is
to
the
ask,
shield
is the
magnetic?
shield magnetic to anything?
I have no
And
idea.
so does that mean that he's got a magnetic plate in his back?
He was
I
he was
don't
ready.
know.
He was just
I
waiting
don't
for this opportunity. You know, the first thing
Yeah,
Yeah, it,
I
it
will
was
do-
always there.
It was
when
always there.
Zombie
was
Cap
always
shows
there.
up, is I'm gonna nick the shield from him. So I'm just gonna put it ready there.
Gotta
you
get
know?
that
Yeah,
shield.
I've
Gotta get
got
that
it.
shield.
I finally have a use for this vibranium back armor. All right. So yeah, but speaking of Bucky, it was what one other thing that one other cool thing that happened was when he saw Falcon dying, and he said, "I should be sad, but I'm not."
Yeah.
It's because the Falcon and the Winter Soldier didn't happen.
No,
Yeah.
they haven't had marital counseling yet.
Yeah, so they didn't they didn't bond or anything. So
Yeah.
it was cool that they dropped that there. It's like,
Yes,
oh
exactly.
yeah, because there's a Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they're supposed to be like really good friends now, but they're not.
They're not.
So he's not sad.
No.
Yeah, and of course the whole message of Spidey saying that if we don't keep smiling when they can't, then we might as well be gone too.
Mm.
That's like the
That's like the Uncle Ben moment of the episode, right?
Yeah, this is the Aunt May moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
It was
fair.
an Aunt May message.
I'm just so
Yeah,
happy
that's
that they
Aunt May
did not show zombie Aunt May. That would have been heartbroken. So-
Spider-Man, I mean, in this episode, Spider-Man really was the central character. He was like the heart of everything. Like he was struggling.
He was, yes, but he was very upbeat. He was trying
Yeah.
to as much, and this is what this is. If you wanted to extend the experience for later as a mental exercise, you can just imagine how much more people would have to die once they get to Wakanda because
Yeah.
of Thanos. So you know
Yeah.
it's gonna be the hope through hopelessness, getting returning back to hopelessness. So, you know, so. All right. Well, I guess that is it. That is it for our show.
Is it?
It is, I guess. Thank you again to Paul. And
I hope
Joel
there's a second
for
zombie episode.
joining me in sharing thoughts, impressions, and theories on this episode of What If. I ask you, dear audience, did you like the Marvel Zombies in this retelling of Infinity War? This is a weird Infinity War that diverged into a different plot. Next time, we continue traveling through the multiverse, reliving the familiar as new variant stories. What changes to key MCU events are you still waiting for? We would love to know your ideas. As always, dear audience, Thank you, and I hope you tune in to the next episode and continue to hang out with us. Till then, bye. Blam, blam, blam.
Blam.
Blam!